Welcome to DGT Live. I am John, and I am joined today by my fellow Cenobites. We have Mr. You know him as Dead Guy Tyler Pereza.
That's me.
Say hi. And then we also have from Rad Entertainment and HMN Films, Garage House Studios, we have Tony Walters and Dan Murphy.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having us.
Hello.
Hey, all right. So hopefully we'll get through this before we are dead by dawn, or someone swallows our soul or something. We are reviewing all film series of Evil Dead. So this was Tyler's idea. Tyler, why did you want to review these films?
Because it's Evil Dead. Why not?
Yeah, that's why.
Right?
Simple as that.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I remember when Tyler and I were wee lads, we used to kind of stay up all night for a lot of other reasons. But also we had mostly Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, especially Army of Darkness on repeat all the time. So we are very fond of this. And Dan, these films are near and dear to your heart as well.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, growing up over there, kind of being hungry for the horror films, and then some of them being hard to get then because they censored them and so on. Like Evil Dead was one of the most notorious ones, up there with Texas Chainsaw Massacre and all them. So it was actually like, I think the first or second horror film I ever seen was The Evil Dead.
Nice. All right. And we're getting a little ahead of ourselves on DGT Live. We usually bring a special guest. So I grabbed I tried to be on theme with tonight, but I tried to grab like the scariest beer, but I got a Dirty Face Amber by Icicle Brewing. It's a red, and there is quite a bit of red in these movies, especially the newest one. I think it was a 2015, 2016? 2013. Tony with the facts. Tony the fact.
Tony the fact.
I think Ty beat me there, but I was like, no, that's my job. I got it.
I'm on the docket. Yep. So I got this Icicle Brewing out of Leavenworth. Thank you, Christian from Northwest Beverage, for letting me get on top of her. Let me get on top of Dirty Face Amber. Anyone else have a special guest with them tonight?
I do. I didn't stay on theme tonight, but I got it's Abuela's Casita from Pelican Brewing. It's a Mexican style chocolate stout. I just cannot stay away from these Mexican chocolate stouts for some reason.
Because they're delicious.
Yeah, probably the chocolate part.
And this came from Devour, which we've talked about before. So I got this in the mail last week, and gonna try this bad boy out.
Nice. Over in Indiana, friends.
Well, I don't have a Christian, to bring me beers. So I'm gonna go ahead and drink PBR again this week here, keeping with the theme of American cinema here with a good old American beer.
Keeping of the theme of Tony Walters, we got the PBR. Excellent. Yeah, so I got a nice red. It's not as red as I thought it was. It's not blood red. I was hoping for blood, guys. I'm trying to go all in, but oh well. Amber, it smells good. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Interesting. Okay, so Evil Dead. So Evil Dead 1, this came out. So this was Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. Sam Raimi was the writer-director. This was not the first film that these two collaborated on. Actually, that was It's Murder, which I have not seen. And I wonder how hard that's going to be to kind of dig up. But Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi have been kind of doing this thing for a long time. The first Evil Dead film came out in
81.
Wow, that's actually newer than I thought. I thought it was a 70s movie. Totally wrong. But yeah, it was it was unintentionally hilarious. So Dan, I think that this was probably your favorite of the franchise. So why don't you kick us off? Tell us what Evil Dead 1, your introduction to it and what it means to you.
Well, I'd heard so much about it, and I think, as I was saying earlier, I think I was reading about it in like horror magazines like Fangoria, because I'm old and we didn't have the internet back then. So, you know, that's how you read about stuff. Just you hear about things from friends at school that are into it, you know, are able to just see things. So when I first saw this one, I was obviously wanting it to be scary, and I was wanting it to be gory, and it was gory. And I do remember it scaring me, but I just remember it being more just, this is what I want to watch kind of a thing. Like this is the type of shit that I'm into now. And it was just, I don't know. I've just always been a horror fan as long as I can remember. It's just weird. But Evil Dead was definitely just, it's always been probably my most favorite horror movie, Evil Dead. Definitely.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tony, what was your introduction? You said that Evil Dead 1 was not your first, correct?
No, Army of Darkness was actually the first movie that I watched in this franchise, and I don't know. I loved Army of Darkness, but it took years before I realized that like the Evil Dead movies were part of this whole thing. Like it was years. I remember watching Spider-Man 2 in theaters and coming out and my friends talking about Sam Raimi and loving Evil Dead and like the Bruce Campbell, you know, cameos that are in the Spider-Man movies and stuff. And then like all of it just clicked in my head and I was like, I need to watch these movies. Like I was seriously like in high school when I finally decided to watch the first two Evil Dead movies. So watching Evil Dead 1 after not even, you know, realizing it was part of Army of Darkness, it was a bit confusing to like watch that one because it took itself more serious.
Sure.
You know, like tried to take itself seriously. But watching Evil Dead 2 was when I was like, all right, this all makes sense. Like this is all I believe this is all the same.
Watching them in that order would have been weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch you watched Evil Dead, you watched Army of Darkness, then Evil Dead 2, then Evil Dead?
No, I watched Army of Darkness, then Evil Dead, then Evil Dead 2.
Gotcha.
That would have been
Tyler,
weird.
this was like the last one that you saw too, right? The original?
No. No, I watched them in order.
Oh.
I believe it was me, you, and Matt Krylo, and we watched Evil Dead, and then Evil Dead 2, and then Army of Darkness, and it just progressively got cheesier and more amazing, and Army of Darkness.
I remember the first one actually being like, and this is weird because movies don't scare me, but I remember the first one actually being known as a scary movie, like legit scary movie.
That's because you were from England and you didn't get to watch it.
The version I had was the first version I ever saw had about 25 minutes missing out of it. It was edited badly, but that's the only way they could get it to be released over there. So there was a lot of it missing. So then I still hungered for more Evil Dead. Like it was like it's always something I've chased. So when I first came here,
it's because it was forbidden for you. Like you weren't allowed to watch. You weren't allowed to see it. Like
it was taboo.
Yeah,
right. But I mean now that stuff's available over there, no problem, you know. But back then, maybe that's it. It's just the chase, the thrill of the chase.
Yeah. So let's set the table a little bit. You know, the plot of Evil Dead 1 is you get, you know, it's almost kind of standard, typical horror movie fare at this point, and it probably trailblazed a lot of what you got a group of teenagers going to a cabin in the woods. You know, they're kind of going there to hook up and have a good time. One of them finds a book, or actually it was a tape recording, right, of a doctor.
Right.
That thing kind of unleashes this demonic presence. You know, these demons start taking over our group, and it's interesting, especially in the first Evil Dead movie. You don't really have a clear-cut, protagonist, and it's almost a little bit strange. You know, at the end, the coward, the one that's kind of the pussy of the group. His name's Ashley. In the first one, he's not even Ash. He's Ashley. He's the one that's the unlikely survivor of this group. And like you said, the effects for the time. I mean, it definitely is. I wouldn't say it holds up at all. It's entertaining as hell, but it doesn't hold up but it's some really cool imagery. The makeup, it's just very gooey. It's very visceral.
Right.
It's great stuff.
The messy stuff is what was really, really missing in the movies over there. So some of the stuff at toward the end of Evil Dead, when he chops up his girlfriend and all that, like that was gone. That didn't exist. So
and no sexual assault.
That was completely missing out of it. Yeah, but I knew this stuff existed, so it's like I felt like I got gypped. Paid good money for this dang VHS.
You want to see, full frontal tree on human, right?
I wanted to see it all because it was supposed to be there. God damn it, and it wasn't.
Yeah, it was very. It had early Raimi, had the zoom cuts, which are just. I mean, he used those all the way through Spider-Man. I mean, he still
uses them. Like,
he's got a classic style,
right? Yeah, his style. We were just talking about this earlier. Sam Raimi's style for me was always like a style that, for some reason, feels or like looks amateur. But he pulls it off in such an amazing way that is just fun. Like he's a filmmaker that's not afraid to have fun. And I think that like maybe a lot of film critics and things look at his work and look at and judge it too harshly because they just don't understand his style. But did you guys see the announcement earlier? Was it earlier this week? He's doing the King Killer Chronicles.
No! I just heard of those books for the first time. So
he's doing the first book from the King Killer Chronicles, and I haven't read it yet, but Rebecca's been trying to get me to read it. It's like her favorite book series right now. So as much as I've heard about it, I'm really excited to see his style take over that. So I think it's going to work really well.
I can't wait for him to. I mean, hopefully he gets a whole franchise, right? Like he did. Spider-Man 1 and 2, the first ones, and this isn't supposed to be a Marvel review, but they're some of the greatest superhero movies ever. Especially Spider-Man 2 is probably in my top, at least top 10 favorite superhero movies of all time. And his style, like you said, it's very amateurish, but it pulls off so well, and it translates so well to horror and comics.
Right. Yeah. He does this thing where he has just like perfect timing where he can tell a joke and then turn around and scare you like immediately. And that's something that he kind of learned doing pretty much like the Evil Dead movies. But he took that skill and utilized it so much, especially in Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock and like the way those tentacles move and the way they snap and the way the camera follows them is all Evil Dead.
Scene it's classic Evil Dead. This is the chainsaws and all that.
Right. That's straight
and
up
it makes your heart pound. Like it's like, oh, you can. It does.
Yeah, he was able to take that, turn it into like bring it into the superhero world, and still make it terrifying, but then be able to turn around and do stuff with like J. Jonah Jameson and like make these laughs. And it like he likes to take you off guard with a joke and then scare the crap out of you.
It's the situations he puts you in. And I use. We were talking about this too. I use the same kind of similar things in the stuff that I do. I definitely have been influenced by Sam Raimi. It's crazy. But
that scene, that Doc Ock scene, is absolutely brutal. I remember seeing it for the first time and like, how the hell are they getting away with this? He's straight up brutally murdering all these doctors. There's women doctors. There's everything. It's all done with silhouettes and.
That's probably his clause in the contract. I have to do a scene like this, or I'm not doing it.
Right. I need to use that scene. But yeah, I mean, there's some very interesting. Now that I'm trying to remember, because the first two do kind of bleed together, no pun intended, a little bit. There is some really interesting scenes in there that aren't just, just kind of B movie or campy stuff that he was going for, especially in the later installments. Like that one scene where the person gets reanimated and she starts dancing in the woods, and it's all like stop motion and kind of claymation and stuff. I mean, it's really visually entertaining to watch as well, not just for the dialogue. I mean, the dialogue is super snappy. Not so much in the first one. It's pretty cheese fest in the first one.
It's definitely different. The second one and the first one are different. Like that dancing scene too, like you say, it is. It's almost Tim Burton-y kind of the way it was done. Like, but I don't know. Was he doing it first? He was doing it first. He's just got a style where he doesn't have to be the same every time.
Right.
Like he can make, the this scary movie, the scary one, and then he can make the funnier one, and then he can just go all out and make the Army of Darkness, and people are okay with it, like, because they're all three good, but for their own separate reasons.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get excited about these movies. I should shut up.
I just get excited about Sam Raimi in general. I love his. I just love his style, and I appreciate his roots and the Evil Dead franchise as a whole, because everything that he learned working on those movies, he takes into the stuff that he does today, and you can still see it clear as day. You can watch a movie not knowing who directed it, like just pick, and if you know Sam Raimi's style, it's like you see it in everything. It's great.
Yeah, it's almost like, you could turn on a movie by Sam Raimi or David Fincher or Danny Boyle,
Tarantino.
And you could know, Tarantino. His style just oozes out of it, and I'm surprised he didn't, but there is, his style doesn't translate to everything. I couldn't see like a heartfelt, romantic comedy or like a really serious drama with his kind of filmmaking style. Maybe he tends to lend more towards those, kind of funnier or more horror aspects. So, maybe he hasn't gotten as much work as people would like to see because of his, stylistic choice.
Yeah. But
kind of moving into Evil Dead 2, it's almost a kind of a soft reboot from the original. It's kind of the same thing. It's only Ash, now Ash with his girlfriend Linda. They are going to the woods. They find this tape recording, and it brings everything back to life. Tyler, what was your kind of initial thoughts of, watching Evil Dead 2?
So you kind of broke out there at the end. My initial thoughts for what now?
Oh, for Evil Dead 2.
Oh, well, just kind of like we've talked about, excuse me, sorry. We started with the Evil Dead, where it was kind of unintentionally funny and unintentionally corny. And then, the second one, they kind of, I guess embraced that cheese, horror film a little bit. And, kind of added a little bit more of the humor to it, add a little bit more of the, the entertainment, like we said, the dancing in the woods, all that stuff. So, yeah. What about you, Dan?
Hey, I was just thinking one of my favorite parts of Evil Dead, and I'm not saying, I mean, if I put them in order, it's Evil Dead 1, 2, Army of Darkness, but Evil Dead 2 is so special because there's so many good moments, like the part where he cuts his hand off and it comes to life and it's doing this and running around the kitchen. Like, it's awesome, but they still managed to make that moment, like, not scary, but make you feel a little anxious. Yeah. Like, oh my God, he's going to cut his hand off. So you're expecting the gore anyway, because that's what it is. But
they go straight from that.
But then straight from that to the hand, like, running around the damn place.
They go straight from a gross out to a laugh. Yeah. Like, that's.
If you see me every now and then, I wear a shirt and it says at the bottom, Evil Hand, and there's a white hand that does this.
And don't forget the Farewell to Arms book, right?
Here's my shirt tonight. I want
nice.
Oh, talk again.
Talk again. Here we go. We're talking.
Hell of the king, baby. Groovy.
I would argue that Evil Dead 2 probably has some like the most. Everyone thinks of the franchise, and of course, Army of Darkness pops out, but Evil Dead 2 probably has some of the most iconic scenes. Like, that's when we get the chainsaw hand. That's when we get kind of the I know we got it in the first one, but the demon scene where it kind of picks up Ash in the Evil Dead 2, and he actually turns a couple times into a Deadite. Right. And just let's talk about Deadites for a minute. Just the creature kind of development and the creature design for the Deadites is a lot of fun. It's basically possessed people. At this point, you probably had Linda Blair, everyone. That's probably the most famous possessed movie monster type thing. But the Deadites are a ton of fun because it's just like there's constant tension in these movies.
Yeah, it's a lot like The Thing. It's a bit like the movie The Thing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like who is next?
Right.
Who is the next one? Because everyone's fine 1 second, and the next second your buddy or your girlfriend or your whatever it has turned, and they have these, and they are very comical too. You know, they have these great one lines. You know, like "Swallow Your Soul" and all this very iconic stuff. But the makeup was great. You know, a little better. It was a little muddy. It looks like they were just kind of caking stuff on in the first one with, you know, and the guy's kind of popping out his own eyes and the blood's like super orange and it looks like, you know, a middle schooler lava project.
But you do have to consider their budget and how that was made. Like it barely was even able to be made.
Well, I was just looking up the budget, and the budget it says, and I assume it's adjusted for inflation because the amount just seems really high for me. But it's $350,000 was for the first movie.
Wow.
But
a lot of that,
that might be adjusted for inflation. And you know, when you think about camera equipment at the time, it wasn't like you could just film it on your phone.
Back then,
like,
it was hard
camera
to
equipment
do what
was
we're
probably
doing
the
now.
majority of that budget was just camera equipment.
Totally. That, and I mean, I don't know how much money Sullivan cost him, but I think he was just part of the gang at the time. Like, he's just hanging out.
Tom Sullivan.
Yeah, along for the ride. So.
He was their makeup artist, and
he travels around the convention circuit.
Yeah, I met him. I have a print from him that he drew. But he's a really nice guy. He loves to hang out and talk. Like I talked to that dude for like, I don't know. I talked to him for like, I felt like about half an hour when there was a line of people behind me waiting to meet him.
Much, though. If you can listen to him, you'll learn
he's a good guy.
That is amazing. And Dan, you said you've interviewed Bruce Campbell.
I have. We interviewed Bruce back in the day before I was doing movies. I had a website called HM&M, and it was just a horror movie website. And we did get quite big, and we ended up like getting a lot of interviews and stuff. And one of them was Bruce Campbell, and we interviewed the women from Evil Dead as well, the ladies of the Evil Dead, they call themselves. But yeah, Bruce Campbell was at the time he was doing. It was one of his books was out. Oh, I can't remember the name of it.
Look at the wrong guy there.
He does a lot of
Is the chin one?
It's the chin one.
Is the chin one?
Yeah. I can't find that fact checker. Thank you. And one of the guys that did the website with me, we interviewed him and we got an interview on the site. Yeah, he was cool. I've always liked Bruce Campbell though. He's got a good reputation with his fans. He's just a cool guy.
Yeah, there's also hail to the chin.
Every single second of everything he's in, right? Like I remember seeing he has a it might even be a non-credited cameo in the beginning of From Dusk Till Dawn 2. And he lasts maybe.
Yeah, he is in one of them. That's right. He does have a cameo.
Yeah, he's in it for like maybe 5 minutes, 2 minutes, or something like that.
Right.
But every single scene Bruce Campbell's in at all,
he steals it.
It like Nate. You know, there's a certain kind of actor that's like this, and you know, your Bruce Campbell's, your Nathan Fillion's. These kind of actors are just like loving every minute of it, and you can totally tell. Yeah, it's just Evil Dead 2 is just such a special thing, and like you guys said, or you know, like Dan said, everyone said Tony. Whoa, I'm just saying names. Dan, Tony, Tyler. Anyways,
we all said it.
As we said before, about 10 minutes ago, Raimi did a great job with this one because it was more for comedic. You know, they went for the comedy, but he still did some creepy shit in this one.
He did. He really did.
The creature.
The fruit seller. What's her name? Henrietta. She was scary as hell.
Yeah.
Like when he had to go down to that cell, I'm like, fuck that. I think I'm going to be laughing in a minute, but in the meantime.
Yeah, I think that Sam Raimi went into the second one thinking, "Oh, you want to laugh? I'll give you a laugh." Like kind of like
just messing with you.
Like a little stubborn about it, like maybe just a little annoyed at like how that people thought the first one was funny. So he's like, "If you think it's funny, I'll give you funny." And then he was like, "But I'm going to gross you out. And I'm going to make you terrified."
That's exactly how it went down. But I bet he wasn't really upset.
No, because the first movie still got like a bunch of recognition and still kind of blew up in a cult classic.
I'd be like, "Oh hell yeah."
Yeah, even the fucking deer, right? Like the deer is creepy. It's like
The
a deer.
deer,
It's like
it's
deer that just turns around, starts laughing at him and stuff. But it's hilarious at the same time. It's that uncomfortable, like haha, like someone just fell kind of humor.
Right.
You know, it's like I shouldn't be laughing at this, but I also like the creature design for this, and you know, we're gonna talk about this a little bit once we get to the remake. I love the eye choice, you know, the eye aesthetic for the older movies, because they just went like milky dead, and it was like really nothing's there, as opposed to like the super, you know, thriller contacts they use for the remake. But yeah, any last thoughts on Evil Dead 2? We'll go to Tyler first.
Well, I mean, nothing that we haven't already said. I mean, Evil Dead 2 wasn't my favorite. But I mean, it's a classic. You can't go wrong with any of, it's the three original of the series, the Evil Dead 1 and 2 and Army of Darkness. You can't go wrong. I mean, they're great movies. There's gore, there's suspense, there's comedy, there's just, kind of like I said, there's
titties.
They have it all. And
they got some titties.
Titties. And you can't go wrong with titties.
I think my favorite scene, though, in Evil Dead 2 is when he's running through the house from, like, the evil, and he's just running, like, mashing through the walls.
Scooby doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. The house is huge, but it's tiny cabin.
Yeah, it's my favorite part of the whole movie. I don't know. I laughed so hard during that whole scene.
It's probably because they did it half-assed in the first one, and in the second one, we're like, we'll show them.
Right.
This time, bigger budget, bigger cabin. longer chase sequence.
I think that the throwing in I guess it was the daughter of the no. Okay, so Henrietta was married to the archaeologist or whatever that found the Necronomicon, right?
Right. That was his wife. He buried her in the fruit cellar.
It was a little tacked on with the other people that kind of joined in later, but I guess we did still need a sexual assault scene with the tree. So it was basically the best we knew we wanted, and that's why Evil Dead 2 is just
right. We got, and the other two characters too. I forget his name. Is played by Dan. I can't even remember. But without them two,
Jake,
Dan Hicks. Sorry, yeah, the rednecky guy, and then the snooty guy that you just wanted to die, They just had everything typical again, but yet I don't know. Just a different group of people.
Yeah.
Even douchier people.
All right. So let's move into the meat, I guess, so to speak, right into Army of Darkness. So at the end of Evil Dead 2, Ash gets sucked up into this vortex, and he's now in medieval times, where the Deadites have more of a stranglehold over the world as we know it. And man, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness just starts out with such a bang. Here's my boomstick. Talk about quotable lines. I mean, it started off with the pops. So, Tony,
this has got to be the world's most quotable movie. Sorry. I mean, it has to be.
Most quotable?
It's got to be.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. I mean, this
are Spaceballs.
It's full of one-liners. This movie... It has had the biggest budget out of all of them with $11 million budget, and this is my introduction to the franchise. So my first time watching this movie, I just remember. I mean, what year did this one come out? This one came out in '92. So I mean, at the earliest, I was probably like 6 years old when this thing came out. I probably watched it at the age of 8.
I remember getting excited about it coming out.
But I was 8 years old or something maybe when it came out, or when I actually watched the movie. So I just remember watching it and thinking, I don't know if I should be watching this movie. Being laughing a lot. When he has all the little tiny hymns running around stabbing with the fork and stuff.
Gulliver's Island, Gulliver's Travel.
That whole sequence, I just remember thinking I know this story, but that's not this story. I remember because of Gulliver's Travels. I remember that the skeleton dude, or one of them becomes his evil
the evil
him, and he becomes and then he becomes the skeleton king dude,
the
leader of the army. When his face was terrifying, and all the
his
stop motion
dropping.
The stop motion skeletons, the whole movie like everything about it, I just was like, what is this? I love it so much, and I don't know why. Like I was like trying to just figure out why it was great, and I would just watch it all the time.
It was hilarious. That's why.
Yeah, it was really funny. I loved the fact that he had a chainsaw on his arm, but it was years and years and years before I realized this was attached to the Evil Dead franchise.
Crazy to me. I can't even believe that.
Yeah. Like I just thought it was a standalone movie. I just like watched it like, it's a dude trapped in time. You know, he can have a completely different chainsaw for a hand, and then like, you know, they like take it off. He's got like the chainmail hand that's apparently robotic and works just fine.
We'll let it slide because it's groovy.
Yeah. Oh man, that scene is probably my favorite scene. With the little people, like you said, or the little ashes, and they're jumping into his mouth, and he tries to kill them by, you know, drinking a
hot tea
kettle.
It would scare the crap out of me because the first thing that happens is the eye, right, in his shoulder.
Yeah.
Like that's the
which was done so well.
It scared the crap out of me when I was that little. I was just like, oh man, what's happening? And then it was like little hymns running around. Then it was funny. Like that's what I grew to appreciate and love about Sam Raimi's style. Yeah.
There's so many different cuts I was saying of this movie too, and I think there's an extended scene with the little guys that show a lot more.
Yeah,
there's so much extra shit.
One of them, he like nails one to the wall with like a fork or something.
It's good time. It's like Tom and Jerry, but little ashes.
And then, I mean, they gave Bruce Campbell a lot more to do in this one, right?
Oh,
it's like he had to play.
He had to be busy as F making this.
Oh, yeah. Man. This was his movie. I mean, this was his chance to shine and eat up that screen like, you know, we know him to do now. Like, this is, yeah.
Well, yeah, he earned it at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
hail to the king.
Yeah,
hail to the king. Evil Ash was just so funny, and it was just the worst lines, but just delivered so great, you know, just like, you're goody little douche-shoes. And I'm just like, oh. they just went for schoolyard humor, but it completely worked because Ash is just like a big dork, right? And that goes back to, you know, him being Ashley in the Evil Dead 1. He's the coward.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
He has this arc, right? He has this even though that, you know, Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 are kind of the same movie, as far as, you know, we know, he is going on this little character arc of being this, you know, becoming this badass person. Oh, yeah. And it's just so funny seeing him battle each other, and just the little skeleton storming the castle, and and of course the grocery scene is just, that's movie gold.
Yeah, this the Army of Darkness. This is my favorite of the entire season. I mean, I even got the, you know, old DVD here that
the bootleg edition.
You know, and I got this, I think, I don't know, around 2002 or something like that, which was shortly after I was introduced to the franchise. But man, like Dan said, it's full of just one-liners and just cheesy awesomeness. They just went full slapstick horror film on this one, and it was freaking fantastic.
Yo, she bitch, let's go.
Tony, what was the what did they spend? What was the budget, and what did it gross?
This one's budget was $11 million, and it grossed. I was like $2 million. That's wrong. Hold on.
They're still trying to make money with this one. That's how big it was.
This one, lifetime gross on this one is $11.5 million.
So it only made its money back pretty much?
Opening weekend, it made about $4.5 million. So, I mean, it made its money back opening weekend. Or no, it didn't make its money back opening weekend. It was $11 million budget.
Yikes.
The budget was $11 million.
That's what it says here, and that could be adjusted for inflation too. It's just what Google
budget
says.
$350,000.
That's Evil Dead.
Oh shoot, you're right.
Army of Darkness.
There's no way it was that.
There's no way Evil Dead was 300.
There's no way they got that many skeleton puppets for that.
Yeah, I mean,
Box Office Mojo says that lifetime gross is $11 million. So I don't know. It must be adjusted for inflation. I'm not really sure on the actual.
And that's probably just
budget.
Box office, right? Not counting for, I mean, DVD sales alone.
Hell, I know that I purchased at least 5 different versions of this DVD.
According to Wikipedia, it says it grossed $21.5 million.
Total over $11 million budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
So according to
Which
Wikipedia,
is still not the greatest,
Hey,
right?
enough to make a remake and a TV show.
Definitely
Right.
enough to make a TV show.
right?
And
I
it
mean,
has 11 million different kinds of media for it. You get the Necronomicon edition, you get the, director's cut, the blah blah blah, the this, that, and the other thing, which is it's basically like a Budweiser beer. It's the same thing, just in 40 different packages.
right. The box office budget on this, or what it brought in, is the box office. That's what it made in theaters. That's not counting what it made in DVD sales and VHS and everything else. This movie had such a cult following that it's made its money, and it's grown as a smaller audience that appreciated this stuff. There's a reason why
it was made for the hardcore fans.
Yeah, it was made for the hardcore fans. There's a reason why we didn't get an Army of Darkness 2, like anything. There's a reason why this movie died after Army of Darkness.
They put absolutely everything they had in Army of Darkness. Like any idea they ever had for this was like, let's just put it all in there.
Right. They put everything in there. They put all the money into it. It didn't make as much as they wanted to, so that then you didn't get another movie. Otherwise, if it would have made enough money, you probably would have got another movie. But it had such a cult following, which is why now we have Ash versus the Evil Dead, and the Evil Dead reboot.
Did you guys ever see that other movie? And I can't remember the name of it, but he plays himself, and people think he's Ash, and then like the end of the world happens, and he has to come save the day. Have you seen that?
I've heard about. I saw like clips.
I think it's called My Name Is Ash. I can't remember.
My name is Bruce.
My name is Bruce.
My name is Bruce. Yeah.
He plays. It's really good. You should watch that. It's a good one.
All right,
topic, but not.
Let's go right into the remake. So, like Tony said, what's with me? And I like this person said, but it did well enough with at least fans to warrant a reboot, a continuation, and a TV show. We're not going to get too much in the TV show, one because I haven't seen it, and I know a lot of my co-hosts probably haven't seen the TV show either.
I'm watching it right now.
I haven't seen them all.
I've only seen the first. I've seen like the first 4 or 5 episodes. It's great.
Is it okay?
It's on Netflix.
It's on my to-do list.
It's on the Army of Darkness level of things, I think, as far as
humor. No, it's definitely straight up comedy. Like but it's great.
I heard they kicked the R rating up pretty heavy though, right?
It's gory, but it's gory, really
but
funny.
It's like Drag Me to Hell. That's what it feels more like Drag Me to Hell
with less jumps.
Yeah,
they're also. Jumps. I don't know if there is, but at least there was for a while. There was a Vegas show, Ash versus the Evil
Ash
Dead.
The musical. Yeah,
the musical.
And they really make a mess of the audience too. You get like a plastic thing. Yeah, it's messy.
That's awesome.
A friend of mine who I do the movies with went to see it a few years back and loved it. It's supposed to be amazing.
Huh.
I think it's still around. I think you can still catch the musical around. I'm pretty sure it's still going.
So let's go into the new one. I think this is The Evil Dead, right?
No, this one's just this one's just Evil Dead. The first one's The Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. Okay, and this is Fede
Alvarez.
Fede Alvarez?
Yeah. He's fantastic.
Okay. He's fantastic. This movie, I just watched it again. I've seen this movie twice. I've seen, the other ones a million times. This one I just watched for the second time in preparation, and I remember watching it for the first time, and I think I made the mistake that a lot of people make, and it's just like, oh, okay, so I see this and I see this and I see what they were trying to do, but it's it's kind of like a blood relative to the Evil Dead, but it's not fun at all. And then I watched it again, and I'm like, this is actually a lot of fun, just because it's not super campy humor. It's just a grotesque fest, right? They just pushed the envelope with the gore. So it went so outlandish that it was a blast to watch. There is some pretty, terrifying scenes. So, I heard a lot of people, there was reports that people were throwing up in the movie theater, blah, blah, blah. It's like, then don't go see a horror film in the first place. But, this film, besides the acting was pretty subpar, except for the main character job. Everyone else was just not really awake or something. But it was stylistically and the cinematography for a horror movie. This is probably one of the best. If you kind of separate it from the Evil Dead franchise and your expectations, it was one of the best horror movies in a long time.
Yeah. Hey, John. I believe we're losing visuals on you there, bud.
Really?
We
Tony-
see you, but you're definitely breaking up a
You're a little
bunch.
choppy.
Oh,
I'm
now
following.
you're back.
Damn it.
I'm following.
You look-
Yeah.
Damn it. Am
I
I still
think.
there?
Yeah. You're back.
Okay.
I think that the way that exactly how you're describing the remake, as far as what you got from it and how you felt watching it, is how I felt watching the original. It was the most goriest, nastiest, shocking thing I'd ever seen. As far as how it looked, it was beautiful. So that is why I like the remake, because they almost like they set out to mirror what they wanted to do with the first one, but then having a bigger budget and being able to actually make it realistic and not orange blood. They did what they wanted to do with it, and I feel like, as far as, and this was when all the remakes were like, oh, everybody's just getting tired of it. This one could stand alone as being its own movie, but it was also a good continuation. It was also a good reboot for the series. I think I really liked it.
Yeah, I really liked it too. I thought that what Fede Alvarez did with it was like he was able to take just the concept of Evil Dead and just kind of just make it gritty and like make it kind of like modernize it to like what kind of horror is now,
Right.
but in a way that's like, but also pioneer it just a little bit. Like he was like, let's modernize it, but with his style. And the cinematography in it's like really gorgeous. That last, like the final shot with her with the chainsaw, and she's like killing the thing, and like the cabin's on fire, and she's like big wide, and it's gorgeous. I absolutely love that shot. But and it made me remember this director. It made me go, all right, I want to see what this guy does next. And he did Don't Breathe a couple of years ago or last year, and Don't Breathe
Fantastic.
Don't Breathe is
another claustrophobic horror movie.
An amazing claustrophobic horror film. Like, and those are like the two main features that he's done. He's done some TV stuff and some shorts. He Don't Breathe was originally a short that he did, and then was turned into a full feature. But
Did he do Lights Out as well, or just Don't Breathe?
No, just Don't Breathe. But they're done by the same production company. But
okay, am I coming through a little better now? I'm sorry.
You're good now on my side.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I don't know about that. No, I apologize for that. I had the setting a little bit wrong, so don't worry. It's not going to go full potato like, in the early days of this live show. But Tyler, you just watched this in preparation for the first time, right?
Yeah, I just watched the new one yesterday for the first time. When I saw it first came out, I was like, oh, Evil Dead, I've got to watch It's Evil Dead. But I watched the previews, and it looked like just so like legit horror film compared to the originals. I just never got around to watching it until, last week when we had the conversation to, review all four in once. So I watched it yesterday, and I mean, it was just wow. I mean, not quite what I was expecting. But yeah, they went full, just legit horror film. There was just one of the goriest movies I've ever seen.
Agree.
Yeah. I mean, it had some crazy ass, like, the tongue cutting scene and her, just spewing. It was very reminiscent of watching Hateful Eight. I remember
most of those effects too were they set out to do this practical. Most of those effects, or almost all of those effects, are practical effects too. So that I mean, with that in mind, some of the stuff that they do in this is just nuts.
I mean, really, besides the context drove me nuts because it looked like I was watching a Michael Jackson, Thriller video. But besides that, I mean, and I kind of shit on, if you guys, if I wasn't breaking up at the time, I kind of shit on the actors. But when they kind of turned, it was really cool. And they did a good job there doing that. And they literally at the end, it was just buckets of blood. It was literally raining blood and just blood everywhere. I want to ask Dan, like, as probably the biggest fan. Go ahead.
Are you asking him? You can ask him a question.
No, I'm just Tony's showing some screenshots.
Admiring. There's some orange blood. That's the remake.
There you go.
Throwback.
Yeah, this is all. Yeah.
The color palette for that movie is just the best.
Right.
That's one of my favorite
It
images.
just feels
right there.
dirty and gross. Yeah. That's what I like about it. Because, like I say, I felt the same way watching the remake as I did watching the original. Because to me, the original is a gory horror movie. I don't classify the original as a funny one, but
Put that one back on. Put that one back on screen real quick. The one of her cutting her tongue.
Can do. There you go.
Now, how fucking cool would that be if she had like milky white eyes?
Yeah,
I was looking at her
agree.
eyes just a minute ago, thinking about what you had said earlier.
The wide eyes are definitely what makes Evil Dead kind of. I don't know. That's a very big part of the original Evil Dead.
Or just go full on. Like if you're gonna do the fucked up eyes, like do the whole thing. It just literally looks like contacts. So you can see she has perfectly white, whatever the white part of your eye is. This is a fucking biology class, people. Sorry. But it's like perfectly white, and then you just had this silly like Cheshire cat looking up. Just would have been really cool. With just I don't know, dead eyes. She's a deadite. Have dead eyes, right?
Right.
I don't know. Being too critical. But yeah, that's I mean, it was an amazing film, a lot better than even the initial. It's a good one to see twice because I think you kind of have to put yourself in that mind frame to kind of separate the genre from the actual just as a standalone movie. So I want to ask Dan, you're probably the resident super fan of the series, probably more than the rest of us. Do you think this question is this would have been a better film if it was just, do you like the fact that it was connected to the franchise?
I don't mind that it was connected, and I'm glad that it was done and done as well as it was done, just because I know, and especially now by hearing some of you guys, the way that a lot of people look at the original Evil Dead is not how it was intended to be seen. So, I mean, the remake does do the franchise justice in that sense because it makes it more of a horror movie as well as a gore fest, but they did both so well that it's not laughable. It's actually quite terrifying. So, yeah, I don't know. I really did. I really liked this one. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. And it's kind of bizarre. Just the apex of it, they went like straight horror, then they went campy, then they went full on like Naked Gun kind of slapstick, and then they dropped it right back into horror. So it's going to be interesting to see. They and then of course Ash versus the Evil Dead, but the talks are for Fede Alvarez is going to be directing, Army of Darkness 2 now, and they're going to connect these two franchises is what is kind of in the works.
I mean, I feel like
I
felt like when the show came out that they almost had to be giving it a reason to reboot it again.
Well, the show, the reason they did the show, actually, I don't know if that's 100%. Well, the reason they did the show was because Sam Raimi doesn't own the rights to Evil Dead. He wanted to make another Evil Dead movie. He wanted to do Army of Darkness 2, and he doesn't own the rights to it, but he does own the rights to the character. So he made Ash versus the Evil Dead as a TV series because that's something he was allowed to do. So I don't know when Fede Alvarez will be doing, if he's going to do another Evil Dead movie, because he's got Don't Breathe 2 coming, because Don't Breathe 2 actually made Don't Breathe made a ton of money for the budget. It was shot on like a $10 or $15 million budget, and it made like $100 and some million opening weekend. So like it made a ton of money, and so he's got Don't Breathe 2 coming, and he's also doing a Labyrinth movie.
Nice.
And then this year, it's a movie called The Girl in the Spider's Web is coming out too. So
never heard of it.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard that one.
I mean, but those, and I don't, you guys actually have made horror movies before, so they take a while. There's all this, but studio movies, they tend to crank out a little bit faster, especially studio horror movie. So he could be done and wrapped with Don't Breathe 2 pretty quickly.
I don't think they
And
should even do a Don't Breathe 2. But
I don't see the point in that really at all, other than obviously money, which is a stupid.
Well, it's
reason.
money, and they left it open ended on for a reason. They're like, just in case we want to make more money, here we go. I hate the movie is fantastic. It cuts at the end it cuts to black, and I'm like, perfect movie, and then it fades back into a final scene. I'm like, you ruined everything. Like that final scene that's just like, here's a little bit of a cliffhanger just in case we want to make another one. I was like, why you don't need that? Just make it one movie. It'd be great.
So let's talk about the end of then Army of Darkness. How would it carry on? Because number one, there's two endings. I think the original one is the one where it goes back to reality.
Theatrical. Yeah, it'd be based on the theatrical.
Okay, so how would they continue that?
And that's the thing too, is they are continuing
the show
it.
Just continue.
Well, they are continuing it. Yeah, the show continues from there. The show starts with him working at the store.
Shop smart, shop S smart.
I mean, it's like you got that. Yeah, I guess. I mean, but as far as like what we know Army of Darkness to be, like again, going back to how he's just different every time.
Yeah,
it's nothing like the Army of Darkness. We need another big epic adventure.
Yeah,
Ash in space.
But you can't duplicate that movie. That's the problem. It can't be duplicated. That scene where he's trying to recite the lines and gets them wrong, like you can't copy that. That's comedy gold. But it can't be copied.
That's what they want. They want to bring her, which is I think her name is. Why can't I remember her name? The main character from Evil Dead. Meeting up with Ash. And that's going to be your
Mia.
Mia, yeah.
Mia.
I mean, he's yeah. I guess I'm happy to see it keep going, but again, I've not really followed the show much because honestly, I'm more. I mean, obviously, you gotta like the humor,
right?
But I'm more into the gory.
It's pretty gory. Like Ash vs. Evil Dead is pretty gory.
Yeah, I know, but it's all funny.
But it's very funny,
right?
And how do you mix those two together? How do you mix her character, which is no fun at all? She's not having fun. She's a recovering heroin addict.
Yeah, and I like that factor too. By the way, that they did that with the drug recovery thing.
I think they should have done a little bit more with it. I think they dropped the ball a little bit and they kind of threw it
right. They used it as a stepping stone and then threw it away. But it was a good way to kind of make it more, I don't know, modernized. I hate to say relatable, but that's true too.
Well, we've all been addicted to heroin at one point.
I've all been there. Tony's still on it. You can't shake it. We had to buy him a puppy.
Now the puppy's hooked.
It happens.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
It's true.
Yeah, but it's like at that point, it's like a tonal nightmare. This.
Why tie them together? Why? I mean, it's pointless to me. Why would they do that? They're completely different style for one. Like, it's just silliness. It's like making Freddy fight Jason. That'll never happen.
But I'm still waiting on the Chucky versus Leprechaun.
Oh my goodness! Stop.
Yes.
Although I do like the latest Child's Play movie. They did a good job of that.
They sure did. All right, so let's we're not going to rate them. I just want to hear the orders. Tyler, put the 4 movies in order.
Okay, so if we go in order of coming out, as far as numbering, we're going to get 3, 1, 2, and 4.
So 3. So Army of Darkness was your favorite.
So Army of Darkness, and then was my number 1 favorite. That one is just gold. Then Evil Dead, the first one, and then Evil Dead 2, and then the remake.
Oh, just because stylistically you like the humor more.
Yeah. I'm more of a comedy humor guy.
So I'm surprised that you put Evil Dead over Evil Dead 2.
It's a classic, man. It's a classic.
Yeah. Evil Dead, the first one was just. I mean, it kicked off this amazing freaking movie series. So.
Oh.
And you wouldn't have your Spider-Man movies without it.
And that.
Very true. All right, Tony, let's go to you.
I would probably go 3, 2, 1, 4. But and saying that doesn't mean anything. Like if any of those movies is on, or you want to watch any of those movies, I'll watch any of those movies. Preferably one out of the three of the main of the Sam Raimi films. Like I feel like you gotta be kind of in the right mood to watch the new one, because the new one's real dark and real.
You feel like
horror.
You're gonna catch something from watching that one,
right? but as far as the Sam Raimi films, you want to throw on one of those movies, I'll sit down and watch it. I don't care. Like I mean, I will watch any one of those movies. I love all three of those films.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why it's hard to put in order.
Right. I just go 3, 2, 1 because Army of Darkness was the one I grew up with watching all the time, and I am more on the comedy side of things, so I like the second one probably more than I like the first one, but like just kind of barely. They're like I just like the humor of it. So
sure. And I'll go 2, 3, 1, 4. Army just Evil Dead 2 just to me is one of the perfect movies. It's just so campy enough to where you almost see the seams like the first one, but you don't. It's just a little bit more polished, a little bit more snappy. It's a little bit more streamlined. The effects are, that much more terrifying. Henrietta is just unforgettable. Her changing into that big, penis snake monster is pretty sweet. And then, Army of Darkness, of course, quotable. Fantastic. You put that on, I try to watch it every Halloween. It's just a great movie. That's like a family movie, just bring your kids together. Let's watch Army Dark.
I consider it a family movie, and that's I really do.
It's great. And then, one, just like Tyler said, it kicked off everything. It was the genesis of everything. You could still watch it to this day and be thoroughly entertained. You could still see Sam Raimi's, thumbprint and just his growth on it. It was just fantastic. And then the fourth one, there's no bad movie in this franchise. The fourth one is great for completely different reasons. It is just disgusting. Everything that everyone said, it's just terrifying. It's shot so well. Cinematography is the best cinematography, on a horror film that I've seen in a long time. The acting by the main character, great. Everyone else, not so much. Effects, great. Everything great, but I can't watch it every day because it's just kind of nasty. And if I watch it on like my lunch break at work, I'd probably get fired. Dan, you are a superstar. So,
I'm like the only one here that likes the horror side of it, I guess. So I think, and it's hard to judge because every movie is its own movie for its own reasons.
Right. They're all three different genres of film. Like
they are. It's the only series out there that seriously has a different feel for every movie. And I'm sure that was probably intentional. But I rate it 1, 3, 2, 4 is how I rate it. But again, 4, like you said, good movie. But we're doing the franchise here, and the classics are the classics because I'm an old man. So
awesome. All right. Well, now we're moving in, getting our special guests for those that brought them. Tony, you want to go first?
Hey, it's PBR and it's great. And if you need a beer on a Friday night that doesn't cost you a whole lot, it's perfect.
Tyler?
Okay. I think we lost John.
Did we again?
Oh, no, there you are. Sorry.
Fuck!
His beer is really good today.
Oh, man.
Okay, well, like I said, I'm drinking Abuela's Casita from Pelican Brewing. It's a Mexican-style chocolate stout, and it is fantastic. I'm going to have to rate this a 4.5. It's probably the best Mexican-style chocolate stout I've had. I guess usually because they're a little too spicy, and I'm still a white boy who can't handle too much spice. So, but yeah, man, it's super good. Chocolatey, creamy, lactose, just cinnamony, awesome goodness.
Did this beat the Chocovesa?
As far as it's much more drinkable than the Chocovesa. This is only 6% ABV. I think the Chocovesa was like 9 or something, right?
The Chocovesa was like a 30%er. Tyler and I woke up in the desert with no clothes on. drinking a 6-pack of that. There's some weird lady named Henrietta walking around saying she was going to swallow her. Anyways, I'm going to go to the Icicle Brewing Dirty Face Amber. I didn't say that about her, but the beer did. It's no dark persuasion. It's no German chocolate stout. This one I have to give a 3.5. Not terrible by any means. It's a well-made beer, but just a little light. It's got a little kind of twangy aftertaste. Not as full-bodied of a red as I usually like. So not the best, but definitely not the worst. Icicle Brewing from Leavenworth. And again, thank you, Christian, from Northwest Beverage, for letting me try this one out. So I want to thank my panel for being here today. Special guest, Mr. Dan Murphy. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you.
And where can everyone find you?
Easiest way is hmmfilms.com. That's it.
Sweet.
Yeah, simple. Yeah.
Mr. Tony Walters.
You can find me at youtube.com/radentertainment or at radentertain on YouTube or on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And that's it. I put out I put out 5 videos today. Put out 5 trailer reactions today. So go watch those.
That's a record.
Yeah, that's a record. That's the most videos ever put out in a day.
That's a rad record.
I had a really slow day at work today. Let me put it that way.
Right. It's like either every day or, a month's worth in one day.
Yeah. I'm a couple weeks behind. I was just trying to catch up.
Yeah. Achievement achieved. Mr. Tyler Pereza, Dead Guy Ty, where can everyone find you?
You can find me here on the YouTube. You can find me here on They Said We Said, usually once a week, talking about The Walking Dead, talking about Marvel Comics shows and movies and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, zombie stuff. You can find me on also the Brewpedia, where I occasionally put beer reviews. And you can find me on Facebook, Tyler Pereza, and slumming around the streets of Las Vegas.
And on Las Vegas Boulevard at 4 in the morning.
We need to team up again when Walking Dead starts. You guys are good to talk to with that stuff.
They start back up on it here soon.
Yeah, we should do a pregame show.
Ooh, a pregame show.
Get Herb on
Fuck it. We'll do it next Monday. It's done. Book it.
All right, we'll book Herb.
Does it come back in 2 weeks? Is it 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's coming up anyway.
I think it comes back in a week.
It's the 28th, isn't it? February.
I think it's 2. If it's not 2 weeks,
it's 2 weeks.
If it's 3 weeks, then we'll wait a week. But if it's 2 weeks, then we'll do it.
I think it's the 20. No, it can't be the 28th.
No, 28th.
It's got to be the 25th.
Yeah,
it's usually right after Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's the 25th, I think. Let's look.
Okay.
Fact checkers on it.
That's your Monday show. We'll try to get at the fact checker, the note taker, and
the limey.
It returns on the 25th. So
Deb's
we
on
have...
it says the 23rd.
23rd.
Oh, hey, Deb.
Well, she'd be
That's
wrong.
a Friday.
It's the 20...
It says the 25th.
That's correct, Deb. What does she win?
So we can do it on the 19th. So 2 weeks from today, we can do a Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Pregame.
19th.
2 Monday. Yeah,
Nice.
2 weeks from today, 19th.
Herb's busy. We'll book her for that.
Yeah.
As long as she puts the apron on, because there's not much room here.
Yeah.
I'll have to move to the desk.
Yeah, we have to move to the desk for that one. That's fine. We can do that.
Nice. All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Orzobdone. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. Well, I gotta stop saying Instagram because I've never updated that in like a year and a half.
I love Instagram.
I know. I'm behind in the times. But you find me on Facebook at John Dunning. And just a little bit of spoilers for the rest of the week. We're gonna sort out Monday's show, but Wednesday's show at 6:30 PST or 9:30 EST, if you're into that kind of thing. We have the DGT Our Big Star Wars show. This is going to be some heavy debates on a galaxy far, far away. We have this gentleman, or one of the gentlemen on screen right now, and that's Mr. Tony Walters. Joining me with the Kessel Run, Alex Kessler from Masters of Modern podcast, also the CEO of Kesco. And we also have Ashley Blodgett from Ash Dash TV and Let's Review Podcast. This one's going to be fun. If you saw any of the thumbnail already, I couldn't stop laughing my ass off when I posted that. But
I did see.
Yeah. Tony's a little Snooky. He's going to be a little Snooky in this one.
Weren't you Obi-Wan?
Here's Luke.
I think I was
John-Wan Kenobi.
Oh yeah, I was Luke. I kept telling everyone I was Obi-Wan.
I saw the long hair. That's all I remembered. Long hair.
It was awful. It's awful.
It's great.
But yeah, that's coming up on Wednesday, so that's going to be a lot of fun. That is it's called Our Big Star Wars Show. So if you like lightsabers, come check it out. This channel, this show is a labor of love. We don't charge a penny. So if you like this, share it with your friends, comment, subscribe, things. So for Dan Murphy, Tony Walters, Tyler Perez, I'm John Dunning, and we will see you next time.
Bye.